Hi there. Welcome to the Right Here, Right Now live show. This show has one simple question. What's on your heart and mind right here, right now in this moment? We explore the depths and breadths of our humanity through that one simple question over the course of 30 to 45 minutes. I hope that you'll join us. I hope you'll enjoy the exploration. And this tune was created for me personally by the incredible Peter Griffiths, one half of the amazing Mind Takeaway. Do let us know what you think. Let us know what you take away. And of course, we always welcome challenges too. Hope to see you on the exploration. Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Welcome to the Right Here, Right Now show. And I'm too excited, Anna. I'm so excited that this amazing, amazing human being is with me today. How are you today?
I'm fine, Gary. Thanks for the invitation to be here. I'm really happy to talk to you and share a bit of my work and what I do. So thank you again for the invitation.
No, not at all. Maybe we can start there, Anna, actually. If you can just let those that are watching us live or maybe watch this back on replay, what do you do for work? And who is Anna? That really tiny little question.
For sure. So I'm Anna. I am Brazilian and I'm actually graduated in civil engineering. Right now I am doing my master's in architecture, but I also work as a designer and a strategist. So since the beginning of graduation, I always liked the subject of sustainability. That after some years of research, I entered more in the regenerative design, biomimicry, and that kind of stuff work. And I would probably say that the main areas that I work with is regenerative design and also traditional ecological knowledge, because I started studying more about regenerative design, biomimicry, and that kind of stuff in my master when I entered my master. And from an academic point of view, the main things that I found were from the global north. And something that really struck my attention when I was reading some articles and some things to put on my thesis was that one article that I found that said that like the roots of regenerative design kind of started with a book written in the beginning of the 20th century by an European guy. And when I read that, I was like, no, because actually there are many indigenous people around the world that already use regenerative design principles and biomimicry, even though they don't use this terminology. And then that was the point where I started to try to bring traditional ecological knowledge into my research and highlight the voices of indigenous peoples. So this is kind of what I am doing now, like uniting these different perspectives through regenerative design, but trying to bring indigenous knowledge into the conversation and highlight their wisdom. And this relates a lot with what I do as well in Possible Futures, which is a collective that I'm part of, together with Sam, Chris, Shahana, and Lolita. And we are a collective of women from the Global South. So I'm from Latin America, Lolita from Africa, Sam, Sahana, and Chris from Asia. And we try to bring Global South perspectives around regeneration. So we organize events. Mainly we organize events and generate content. And yeah, this is kind of what I do. I do some consultancy with Possible Futures and as well on my own to companies that want to bring regenerative principles or work with indigenous people, work with diversity. And I also work as a graphic designer. So these are the main things that I'm doing right now.
Wow, so much, so much. Like you blow my mind anyway. But I just want to say, so we've got Tara, and you would love Tara. Anna, you'd absolutely love Tara. She's a real powerhouse around diversity, equity, inclusion, based in the US, and also Rich has joined us as well. So thank you for joining us today. I just think it's so profound, for anybody watching us, Tara, Rich, or anyone else, when we talk about global south, global north, it's quite new for me, as you know, as a white male with privilege. It's been Sam in particular and you that have really helped support me with that understanding. And of course, you've done a lot of the branding, which we'll come to later on for the business that I'm setting up. I'm really curious, Anna, where do you envision these different strands of Anna? Where do you see that weaving? What's that weaving towards? If you were sort of looking out 5, 10, 15 years time, what would you love to see yourself doing with all of these different weaves that you're currently working on?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question because for a long time I had a really hard time with these different things that I do, because I was always like, oh my God, I do so many things that kind of feel unrelated. So when anyone asked me, oh, please describe yourself in one sentence, I was like, my God, what do I put here? And I was having a hard time, like, am I being too broad? Like, is my work shallow because I'm working with so many different things? And for a long time, I tried to understand how to express myself or describe what I do, and always thinking that I should put myself in these boxes of, okay, Anna as a graphic designer, Anna as a consultant, Anna as an engineer, and until I finally understood that, okay, in a way or another, all these different things that I do are connected and they form what I am. So I shouldn't be like trying to put myself into boxes. And I am, I think more this year, I was able to understand better how everything comes together. And I think that helping the strategic design and this graphic design or design in all senses are deeply embedded, because the way I see it now is kind of like helping business and people to bring their ideas into the world. So I help to strategize that and also bring it to a visual perception of it. So how to bring this to life as if the project or the brand was a living entity. So having its own personality and how to show that, how to strategize that into a way, because almost all the business that I work with has this sustainability or regenerative or bringing this consciousness, purpose, awareness into their core. So this is something that I would say that I also like to work with these people and also help them in a way or another to bring clarity into this strategy of how to do that. So I really had a hard time as well to kind of think about, oh, what I want to do in 5 years time, because I would consider my work to be really emergent as well. So I don't know, like, I don't know the answer to that questions. I can even imagine what I will be doing in 5 years because it's changed so much all the time. But I would say that I plan to keep, of course, working with strategy and design. I don't know exactly in what way, because there are many ways to work with that. But I really like helping people and understanding how to bring this project that they imagined to life, and to help to make them see it like an organism in itself. So I think that I can't have really specific answer, but this is the best that I can answer. I think, like, I like to keep things live and emergent. So let's see how I will be in 5 years.
It's beautiful, and why I wanted to share that is that just for those that are watching us live or watching this back, what Anna just did, if I may comment, and please build on this, Anna, you handled my very innocent reductionist question. Where do you see yourself in 5 years, 15 years, 10 years? And you kept that open by saying, thanks for the question, but I don't know and I don't need to know. So I thought that's a really beautiful global north, global south connection there of like the very innocent on my side, open question, I thought, which was actually very reductionist. And then you're actually, I don't need to know where I am in 5, 10, 15 years because I'm enjoying all of these different parts of me and I don't need to know what box I need to fit in. I don't need to conform to where I'll be in 5, 10, 15 years. So I think it's a really nice live example of the tension that we're dealing with every day, right? With the global north reductionist mindset and the beautiful learning from the global south. We need to have more in the world of this exploration, of emergence, of not needing the answer almost.
Yes. And I also, for a time, I thought that I was being maybe not ambitious or not organized enough because I didn't have an answer. I never had an answer. So since I was a kid, like people asked me, "Oh, what you wanted to do when you grow up?" And I never knew what to answer. So every time that I need to make a decision, it was kind of like, okay, what I'm feeling right now, and kind of this constantly consulting this inner compass, like of mind, trying to question. Where I should go, and always because keeping things emergent is what led to where I am now. Because I mean, I was doing graduation in engineering, which is completely different from illustration and design, that is more creative. So if I had in the beginning of college planned my life like, okay, I will finish graduation and then I will become an engineer and I will specialize in this and this and this, I will never be where I am now. Because my path in design and illustration began because I was curious and I wanted to exercise my creativity that I felt was not being put into use in the engineering course as much as I would like to. And then things started happening. Like I started showcasing my work into art fairs, mainly because my friends were like, "Oh, why don't you show this your work? Why don't you create an Instagram account to share it?" And I was like, yeah, maybe this is a good idea. So it wasn't planned at all, at all. And today I work mostly with design and being a strategic design or graphic design, more than engineering. So things kind of happened, and it was always like this. So
It's so beautiful for me, because what I'm taking away again is this just beautiful lesson that we're taught to reduce ourselves. We're taught, my path, as you know, was very much that, Western Europe, lots of privilege, get the job, get the grade, no, sorry, get the grades, get the job, have a nice life. Maybe you'll have money to retire, have a pension. Yeah, that very Western track, shall we say, that Western life. But never in my education, never in any of my life until the last 2 years, did I even consciously think about the impact in other parts of the world of the choices that I make. And I think this has been a really huge realization for me, with the help of the likes of you and Sam and others and Shahana, that it's not just about us as humans being a combination of many different parts altogether, but actually systemically we're impacting parts of the world that we often don't even think about. And I'm finding that art, like the way you help me, like art is a very powerful way to join those connections, isn't it?
yes, yes, it's a different way to express. And for me, art always came kind of a therapy, because since I was a kid, I was really, really shy. So I couldn't express myself with words very well. So art for me was a way to express what I wanted to express without having to tell it. So leave it open to interpretation. And this is something also really interesting about art, because different people will have different understanding of the same thing that is shown to them according to their context, according to their life experiences, according to their perspectives. So this was something that always called my attention in art, and that I think always fascinated me so much about it.
So cool. Well, let's have a look. I've had you for this is what happens when we get together, Anna. That's 15 minutes already disappeared. So what I'd love to do, again, thanks for joining us. If you're joining us live or watching this back, I'd love to share my screen just to bring to life what Anna's speaking about, because I think, like, I get chills in my body when I speak to Anna, because she's spoken already about how you like to help people bring their vision, their embodiment to life. And I'm about to share the branding for the business that I'm developing, which is called HEXO Change, which is the human exponential organization. And I would just love, Anna, just for a few minutes, maybe if you can talk a little bit about, maybe I'll jump through maybe this part around the brand strategy, because it was so amazing when you first said, Gary, yeah, I'm happy to work with you. I feel there's an alignment between what you're trying to do and what I work on. You literally started with this introductory conversation, and then 3 weeks later you just come up with this incredible embodied, for me, vision of what my work was. And would you like to just maybe speak a little bit about what is this process like for you as Anna, as a regenerative strategist and designer? I'd love to give you the space now to explore that a bit. It'd be great.
Thank you, Gary. So when I start this process of graphic design, I always like to start this with like a brainstorm. So what me and Gary done in the first meeting that we had was kind of a mural with different ideas where I made questions related to the brand. And I like to do this because this sometimes make people think about their brand differently, or think about things that they never thought before. Like, for example, what would be the values, what would be the purpose, how this brand would manifest if it was a living being, so what is its personality. And these questions kind of are really important to guide the visuals, like how this will manifest itself in the world. So sometimes we think about our business as something static or something that is outside of ourselves, but actually it incorporates a lot of us, and it's a living thing. Like, it has its own voice, it has its own personality, it has its own way to manifest in the world. So it's really important to understand this, to be able to create this visualization. So through these guiding questions, we work on this strategy. So understanding what the brand actually is, how it manifests itself, to, in a later stage, create a mood board of references, and then trying to understand how to put this into visuals, typography, graphic elements, colors. So yeah, I hope I was able to answer your question, Gary.
Oh, it's beautiful. Yeah, I'm going to jump through to some of the other, because this was one of the things I found that was very powerful for me personally. Was quite often, Anna, I would think about what I wanted something to be, and I get quite stuck in my head. Like, I really want to embody this, or I want to make this difference in the world, but I didn't always think about what am I not trying to be? What do I want to avoid becoming? And this was a really powerful part of the process for me, was to sort of, for you to help name what I didn't want to become as much as what I did want to become. And I'm really, have you found that to help your own journey, Anna, sort of being clear on what is acceptable and what isn't acceptable to you, I guess, in some ways?
Yes, a lot, because I think having this understanding of the limits, or what is acceptable, what is not acceptable to you, when you talk not only about brand or values of the brand, but in your own lives, it's really important to have that really clear, but it's so difficult to have that really clear. Like, it's a process. It's not something that you sit in a chair and think about what are my limits in like 15 minutes. This understanding requires a lot of self-consciousness, and it's difficult sometimes to, it's more, I think it's easier to tell what your business is or what you want to accomplish with your work, but what you don't want to accomplish is sometimes more abstract. And I think it's really worth it to think about this, because then it helps us to create these boundaries, or these limits of what is acceptable, what is not acceptable. And actually, at the same time, this is also a position of privilege to think about that, right? So because this is something that I, for a long time, questioned a lot, in especially when I was starting, because when I was starting, I really needed money because I really needed to sustain myself. So this kind of boundaries thinking sometimes didn't work. Sometimes I did things that wasn't so aligned with my purpose or my brand strategy or the business that I would like to work with. But I really need the money. So I think having this um, understanding of the limits, but also like not pushing yourself too hard if you need to get outside of these boundaries a little bit when needed, um, is something that is also like having this flexibility, you know. Um, and of course, if you reach the point where you have the privilege to choose, okay, I won't work with this because it doesn't align to my values, or I have the option to say no to some projects and choose which are the ones that I want to work with, then of course, having these values and these boundaries really clear is super important, and is a process that involves a lot of self-inquiring and not easy. So I think thinking about that is a process, not like something that will be really quickly done.
Yeah, and thank you for mentioning that privilege part. Because I think that's really powerful, actually. And what I took away from what you just shared in my sort of lens on the world, Anna, is this tension between wanting to do good and really make a difference, and survival, right?
Mhm.
I'm learning that some people are just literally trying to survive on their own land. So for me to be sitting here having this conversation with you is a ridiculous privilege in some ways, but it's just my context. So I
Mhm.
can't feel ashamed or embarrassed about that, but I should know about the fact that other people's don't have that privilege. And what can I do with your support, this brand, this vision, to try and bridge that gap between the context and privilege I have and the known oppression and damage that's happening in different parts of the world. So I'm finding, and what you're helping me do with this art, this graphic design, is try and embody the journey towards that bridge, if that makes sense.
Mhm. Oh, that's amazing! I'm so happy that it is helping in some way.
Oh, it's hugely helping. It's hugely helping, and I'd love if anybody's still joining us. Feel free to drop questions in. Thanks, Rich. I can see you've been engaged in some comments, and we'll come back to those. One other thing I do want to share is actually a bit of the art, actually, because like we've seen some of the words, but the actual graphics. I'd love for you to speak a little bit about how you created those as well. So let me just share the screen again. This is testing my technical abilities here, Anna. So thanks for bearing with me. Oh, I loved this part, by the way. If anybody that knows me or maybe is seeing me for the first time, like Anna, like I did not direct or say to Anna anything about what I felt the archetype was. Like this is literally from that investigation, that first session, Anna, wasn't it? You asked a lot of questions and then you came up through your own understanding, through your own interpretation, this archetype. Yet it's the perfect archetype for me, but I did not give you any of these words. So I just find that amazing.
Thank you, Gary. Yeah, I always like to think about the archetype because I think this helps a lot to kind of personalize the brand. And I think these were used the Jung archetypes, and I thought that the rebel was so appropriate because it's all about what you are doing, Gary. It's all about questioning the norms, thinking differently, connecting with different people that have different perspectives, and having these discussions that will hopefully make people question themselves and question what they are doing. So I think this is a perfect fit. You're muted, Gary.
I know it would happen. It's probably the best thing for me to be muted, Anna, to be honest. But would you mind speak to this bit I found so powerful because I've never really thought before I went through this process with you around the messages that color can bring or how color can represent, or how it helps you maybe embody the work you want to be doing in the world. Would you mind speaking about this page a little bit? Because I thought this was so powerful.
Yes, of course. So when we thought about the brand and what would be the characteristics and what the brand would be in service for, the main things that I thought was, okay, so the main idea, the main concept of the brand was about connection. So connecting with people, talking with people, and as well bringing this consciousness inside business with the consulting part as well. So what I thought first was, okay, maybe we can divide this brand into sub brands. So we have the HEXO brand and we have the HEXO talks that would be used on the podcast and also in these live conversations. And we have the HEXO events for the events. And these were the main guidance. And then I started to think, okay, what would be the colors or how I could use these colors to express this. So the main thing that I thought was that connection and the public that would be targeted was more young people. So I wanted to make something that would be elegant and serious, but at the same time have this freshness, this fun into it. So the main thing that I thought that I wanted to create something colorful with different colors, but at the same time something that wouldn't be too much. So I try to balance that with the white, the black, and the gray. So the white takes most, it's the main color, like the backgrounds are mainly white to balance this colorfulness of the graphic elements that would be the orange, green, and purple. And the reason that I chose the colors is that orange is supposed to bring this adventurous spirit, this creativeness. The green linked to nature and regeneration, and the purple linked to intuition or listening to the yourself, listening to what's going on inside yourself. So these were the main thoughts that guided this color palette choosing.
No, thanks so much for sharing. I just want to bring to life. So this is actually some of the finished work that you did, and I'd love. Is it this part where could this bit blew my absolute mind. So you spoke about Anna. Again, part of it was these interconnecting pieces of that. Do you mind speaking a bit about that? Because this is where, for anyone, honestly, my whole body is doing it again. I was just like, oh my God, how does Anna know me better than I know myself? So do you mind speaking a little bit about how this brand is actually constructed? What does it mean?
Sure. So, as I said, the main concept was this concept of connection and how different parts can connect themselves and become a different thing. Yet the parts remain, they have their own uniqueness, and together they become a new thing. So that's why the EXO branding has these different lines and dots that connect these different parts. And this was also something that I thought that, oh, maybe this kind of reminds technology, cables and things connecting, these different lines connecting, because since the brand has a lot connection to the internet, because of course our conversation right now it's happening online. So I wanted to bring this kind of internet connection at the same time, like a different dots and parts connecting to create a different thing. That's why I thought about separating these ladders of the EXO and actually using these parts as the graphic elements themselves. So the graphic elements that compose the EXO branding are actually parts of these ladders that are separated. So kind of like the logo is kind of, if these graphic elements came together and formed a different thing. So this was the main idea.
It's just brilliant. So it's like this example here, isn't it, Anna? It's just like I love the way you call it, like deconstruction. And what was really lovely is that I've only been learning myself about, the power of self-management, self-organization. And of course, there's a lot in the West, certainly, a lot of excitement in agile about self-management. But you've really brought that into the brand, and the embodiment is actually how do we connect work together in community, in groups for a greater good, then disband, take those parts away, then regroup somewhere else. And it was just part of the brand that I sort of knew I wanted in there, but I didn't even say that to you. Like, you just totally intuitively just created it, and it just, anyway. As you can see, I'm a massive fan of Anna De Nardin. She's absolutely incredible. And as we look to start to wrap up, I would love to sort of invite the floor back to you, Anna. If you're looking for, who do you work with? Are you open to working with further clients? You've mentioned already that there needs to be, an alignment. What does the, without trying to be reductionist, what's the type of ideal client for you? Should they be watching us now or watch this video back? What would a good aligned client look and feel like for Anna?
I think anyone that felt a connection to anything that I've said right now would be a possible client, because my main public audience is business, mainly small business, that in one way or another are working with regeneration. And it doesn't need to be only about like sustainability or planetary regeneration, but brands that are concerned about diversity or bringing this more social lens into it as well. So right now I have this consulting business, and I also have a studio of graphic design that I'm doing with my partner, and we are still organizing it, creating the website, and hopefully we will be able to launch it soon. But yeah, I don't think I have a really specific public. It's more about like connecting and seeing if there is alignment. So I'm actually open to explore and to discover together. And it has been really interesting having this. I've started working more with graphic design in the beginning of 2020. And since then, I have the incredible opportunity to working with people from all the parts of the world. And right now I'm doing a project with Possible Futures that is with indigenous groups from West Papua. And it's been so amazing, because then it's a completely different vision of things, and they don't speak English, so we have to kind of translate from Indonesian. And working in this co-creative process with them is being so crazy. Like it's so amazing to have this experience from people all over the world, and seeing this different, because art and design has a lot of culture embedded as well, like the context. So this really impacts the design as well. So having this contact with different people around the world kind of helped me to have this systemic understanding of things and have contact with different perspectives. So I really love that.
So beautiful. I'm just going to say, Rich has stayed with us most of the conversation, and I will put this bit up. Said, color is so important to convey your brand. Excellent work, Anna. Gary, you struck gold with this connection. Yes, I did, Rich. Anna is an amazing human. So I think on that note, thank you again for sparing the time. I really do appreciate you, Anna. Everything you're doing, everything you're becoming, the support you've given me is, just publicly, it's far, far, far greater than I think even you realize. So thank you for everything you're doing. Please do check out Anna's profile. It's been running across the bottom. Drop her a note. Open to connecting to see if there's an alignment. And let's just keep being amazing, Anna. That's all I can ask. Please.
No need to thank me, Gary. It's always a pleasure to talk to you and work with you. So I am the one thankful for being here and to be able to share a bit with everyone. So thank you for the invitation again.
No, not at all. Thanks, Rich, Deneen, also Tara, anybody else. And have a lovely afternoon, one and all. Take care. We're signing off now. Cheers, Anna. Thank